call, please.
Mayor Sui.
Present.
Mr. DeLeo is absent. Mr. Donahue.
Present.
Mr. O'Day.
Here.
Mr. Schmidt.
Here.
Mr. Sullivan. Here. Ms. Mara.
Here.
Statement of this meeting was provided to the Bernardsville News, Courier News, Star Ledger, filed with the municipal clerk, and posted on the municipal bulletin board on December 12, 2017. Please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'm going to open up the open session. At this point, I'm going to ask the council to move item number 6C, a letter to the FAA, which we discussed in length with both Diana and Steve Kramer up, and we'd like to present the letter to the council and then.
Okay, thank you very much for having us. And basically, Anthony sent the email that we sent to him.
Yes.
And it says that, as you know, we presented at the last meeting with our PowerPoint slides the problem that the town of Bernardsville has with the next-gen procedures and how many airplanes and commercial aircraft we have. And we have the letters written for Senators Cory Booker, Robert Menendez, Governor Murphy, Congressman Frank Orlando, Congressman Albio Sires, and Miss Jennifer Solomon, who's with the Eastern Region, head of the FAA. And we made a few adjustments based on the comments from the council that we've received since the last meeting as well as the last meeting. And so I'm not going to read the whole thing to you because you could read it. Obviously, I'm sure you don't want me to read everything to you, but I'll just say a few things. That it says that we're writing on behalf of the town of Bernardsville, and what we're asking for is an adjustment to the width and altitude of the air traffic to reduce concentration, repetitive patterns, and frequency. We're asking for more equitable distribution and a systemic dispersal of arrivals and departures. We're not asking for major flight path changes. So it says, you know, the rest of it here, and Kevin, do you want to read anything more, or you think you don't need to read anything more?
I think our committee, Christine and Tom, you have met with the Kramers.
Yeah, Christine's the liaison, but we did have a chance to meet. I think, you know, at this point, it's appropriate to ask our borough attorney to review the letter, and you know, if the rest of the council members agree with the wording or changes that are suggested by our borough attorney, then yeah, I think we could issue the letter if other people agree.
I have no objection from a legal standpoint. The letter wasn't in the packet, right?
Okay, so you basically reviewed the letter and you saw it was fine?
As I said, from a legal standpoint, I have no objection.
So I think, you know, it's just a matter of if anybody wants to change any of the wording, anybody on the council. I don't know if people have read it, you know, verbatim, the letter at this point, other council members.
I've read it, so I'm fine with the letter. I think it's very well written. And thank you thank you again, as I did before, for all your hard work and effort in this matter.
Well, it's our pleasure, and let's just hope that something can be done. And we want to really extend an appreciation to Christine Zamara for offering to be the advocate for this effort. We really appreciate it, and you know, she offered to follow up with each of the members that it's being written to. So thank you for that.
And Anthony, you have copies of this, right? And I know you have email copies also, so I saw that. Okay.
Is there anything else?
So we come back in 2 weeks? Or
Do you want us to come back?
I think that's it. Jack, you're fine with everything?
As I say, I'm fine, but I just reviewed it from a legal standpoint.
I think we should. If anybody wants changes, that's their chance to talk now, you know?
I only have one. There's a C in my email. That's it.
A C?
It's C Zamara at Bernardsville.
Yes.
But it just has my last name. So
Yes,
just put a
that was
C in.
fixed, but yes.
Okay, that's it.
Anthony can handle that.
I'll fix that before I
All right. You had anything like that? Mike, anything? You okay?
I'm fine.
Chris?
Well,
Yeah.
I'm concerned that the statistics don't match, that, 18% of 500,000 is a higher number than the number that's in the paragraph below. So I would like to just check
I
that.
thought it was fixed.
yeah, I think it's
Where's that?
Well, 175 jets a day is not the same as 18% of 500,000 divided by 365. So,
See what it's saying?
yeah.
18 to 20.
Well, that would be about, let me see, 20% is 100,000.
Yeah.
100,000 divided by 365 is about 300.
500,000 times
You know, I see what you're
18%
saying. It would
is
be-
90,000
yeah.
divided by 365. That's 246
Okay.
jets a day, and it says 175 jets a day down here.
I see.
So, I'm just wondering, we should be consistent with the numbers.
Yes.
We can-
We'll fix that.
We'll research that and we can get that number to you.
Yeah.
Very good. And if anybody else has any minor alterations or anything, let Anthony know. We agree with you, Jack, we'll get the letter out.
Okay, great.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
efforts and thank you for your volunteerism.
You want to make the
Thank
friendly
you.
skies a little
You
friendly.
want us to come back, or are we okay?
I think we're okay. Anthony will just communicate with you,
Okay.
all right?
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's
No,
hope-
no, thank
the
you.
most important thing is that, let's hope something is done, so that Bernardsville can
Kevin?
be.
Yes, sir.
Public comment?
Sure. Come on. You can speak from there if you want, just state your name.
Tom Stavro, 15 Paisley Street. I might have missed this step, I just become aware of this and read the letter from the response from the FAA. Is this something the town is taking on?
This is something, yeah, it's a townwide initiative. Basically, the Kramers here have done exhaustive work.
I read their letter.
Yes.
The response.
Yes, and what's happened is the flight paths have narrowed. I'll let you guys explain it also. And we're getting more and more aircraft over
I
Bernardsville.
understand that, I just didn't realize that it was actually something that the town, are we incurring
It would-
costs and legal?
No, we're not incurring costs or legal fees with this.
Because the response seemed pretty straightforward, that, look, we can't move one without the other, it impacts a great area.
Yes.
All the airports around here, I
Mhm.
just think that we got more important things.
And we just want them to open up the, basically
Oh, I know
the,
what we want, I'd like to move 287 too, but
yeah. Very good.
There's bigger fish and we can't overlook it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, open session. At this point in the meeting, the mayor and council welcome comments from any member of the public to help facilitate an orderly meeting and permit the opportunity for anybody who wishes to be heard. The speaker shall limit their comments to 5 minutes. If reading from a prepared statement, please provide a copy and email a copy to the clerk's office after making your comments so it may be properly reflected. Anyone from the public? Yes, sir. Come on up.
Should I give copies?
How are you?
We'll pass it out.
Yes. Pass it.
My name's Tom Kearney.
Yeah, hi,
From
Tom.
Bernardsville Center.
Yes.
I'm here to ask for a night work permit.
Okay.
I was told this is the body to come before.
All right. Jack, you have this, or? Okay. Does Jack have a copy?
I just
You
gave
gave
it.
him one, okay. All right. This is the first, let's just.
Yeah, no, I realized I wasn't on the agenda, and I'm just getting squeezed in here, and I appreciate you
No problem.
taking a few
But
minutes.
that's not a problem.
Yeah, I mean, the council has allowed similar things in the past with certain conditions.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
as you know, we're doing a big renovation at the Bernardsville Center.
It looks very nice, so thank you.
Thanks, we're
Thank
getting
you.
there. I mean, since mid-June, we've lost 2 months of outside production.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we're racing against, winter time. And we're trying not to inconvenience our tenants and our shoppers too much. So there's a couple things we want to do at night.
Mm-hmm.
None of it will happen in the back of the building. It'll all be in the front.
All on the front of the
We
building.
are keenly aware, of our light source and our noise for the adjoining houses.
Okay.
Doing everything we can to mitigate that.
Okay. And it'll be 1 or 2 nights, 8 p.m. It says approximately 12 hours. Okay.
How are you doing with the school?
in terms of sidewalk and?
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna make any progress with the school. We sent them a letter saying that we're not gonna be able to move forward with that. When I talked to the school originally, there was three, caveats: my safety review, my engineering review, and my insurance review. So we sent a letter to, I'm not sure who it was sent to, but our insurer said, if you do this, we're dropping you.
Can we get a copy of that letter?
Yeah, I can get a copy sent.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
So are you gonna erect like a barrier so that it's, part of that property back already belongs to the school?
Yeah. So we're gonna wait and have the school tell us what they want us to do with that property. So they can say, okay, I understand you can't accommodate us because of insurance, and go ahead and park cars there, or they're gonna say, okay, that's our land and stop using it. So I'll wait for them to come back and tell me what they want to do.
Also, insurance, you can always buy insurance, the question is cost.
No, it's not a question of cost. They're dropping us.
Everything's insurable.
Okay, everything's insurable. That may be true. The carrier I have now has stated that he will drop us if we undertake this.
I have a question for you. Do cars park there now?
Yes.
Employees as well as customers?
No employees.
It says employee and customer parking on a sign that's listed over there behind that area.
Okay. I could change that. I don't know of any customers that park back there.
There's a walkway in between the Gary's liquor store and the postal annex. There's a walkway in there that actually accesses that area.
Yep.
So customers or employees or both could walk through that way?
100%.
Yeah. So is your insurer aware of that today?
Absolutely. I mean, they came out, they had the plans, and they came out, looked at the property, and told us what they thought.
Okay. You seem very cut and dry in terms of this particular subject, yet it seems like, you know, from a community perspective, there's some benefit to the community to have your cooperation on this. Is that something that you would consider?
It is not a lack of cooperation on my part, and yeah, I suppose we could talk about it more, but I don't see what I can do given my insurer's response.
One time I changed from Geico to Progressive Insurance when I didn't like the terms that Geico was offering.
Right.
Yeah. Are there other insurers that you could talk to?
I suppose there are. I could ask my insurance broker.
I mean, you also run the risk, the kids now run down the hill, and is your insurance company aware of how they're getting into the complex now?
I can't state that, and I can't give you an answer to that because I wasn't there when they came to look at the site, so I couldn't tell you.
Because, I mean, the bottom line is you have an inherent risk right now, and if you assist in reducing the risk, they should be accommodated, as opposed to having the kids come and circumvent the fence or any other impediments.
Not being a lawyer, I'm going to take my best stab at this. If they come down, you know, sort of by TD Bank, which is a combination of school property and TD Bank, and they get hurt, TD Bank and or the school will have a problem.
You're an attractive nuisance. You're going to have a problem.
I don't know what that term means, sir.
It means the end goal is to get to your place, and if you're putting up impediments to get in their way, that's a problem.
Right. Okay, I don't know exactly what that means legally, but
If the school puts in the sidewalk like they're planning to do,
yeah.
is your plan to create, by way of example, and certainly not limitation, a fencing along the way so the kids can't then cross over and then walk through the crosswalk through the entry between Gary's and UPS?
One more time on that question?
Is the plan,
Yeah,
in the event the school, which I believe they are, going to put in a sidewalk,
yeah.
is your plan, the complex's plan, to erect any type of fence to prevent the kids from walking once the sidewalk ends, to cut across to what now is a crosswalk into the entryway between Gary's and the UPS?
I guess it really depends on what my insurer said.
I wonder if we could work together with you and your insurer and the school to just help to find a solution that's mutually acceptable to everybody.
Sure, why not?
Well, it sounded like you were dismissing that possibility earlier. That's why I'm asking you that question now.
As it stands now, from the information I have, my insurer is going to drop my insurance. Could there be-
Under one particular scenario that you presented to them, I'm just saying, would you be willing, with cooperation with the school district and your insurer, search for a solution that everybody would be happy with?
We can explore other options.
Okay. So I'm thinking that's what we're driving at, isn't it?
Yes.
You know? I mean, we're not trying to tell you what to do, we're just trying to request your cooperation in finding a mutually acceptable solution.
Fantastic.
And not just cutting off the discussion as we got one answer from one insurance company, that's the end of this discussion, no more, we'll revisit it, which I think sounded a lot like what your original position was.
I can see that interpretation.
Okay.
I just.
So if I misinterpreted what you were saying and that you meant to say that you would cooperate with the school district to find a mutually agreeable solution, then that's great. I think that's what.
No, I think you interpreted my initial statement correctly where I said, I don't know how to do this.
Okay,
And as it stands right now, I can't do it.
okay.
But I could go back, talk to my broker
Mm-hmm.
and say, here's what we got. Go talk to some insurers
Mm-hmm.
and see if anybody wants to deal with this.
Okay.
And when they come back and they say, yeah, we can do it and it costs Y dollars, then we'll have a discussion about the Y dollars.
The other option would be to ask the school to come up with a slightly different design or a different location or a different transit point that would be acceptable to your insurer as well. So I think there's more than just one way to move forward on this.
Okay.
You know, so I think we're just looking for cooperation.
I have fully cooperated with the people.
I'm not saying you didn't.
Up to where
Yeah.
my insurer said, you do this, I'm dropping you.
Okay,
And when he said that, I said, okay.
okay.
And that
I just
sounds
think
good.
that there's an interest in the community to have this type of access.
Okay.
And if
I
we
can
can
see
do
that.
it, if we can do it in a way that's mutually agreeable and safe for everybody involved
Yeah,
and meets appropriate requirements, then,
Yeah.
you know, maybe we can work together to find that
so
solution.
my three requirements are unchanged. My safety review, my engineer review, and insurance.
So other than insurance, did you have a concern?
No?
Okay, so then it's mainly the insurance, not the other two that were the problem?
No, because I had extensive talks with the guy that runs the FOC, whose name is escaping me.
FOC is?
Facilities, operations, you know,
At the school.
yeah, at the school. And we talked about a number of things. And, you know, they plan on putting in a sidewalk in, they plan on putting a fence in, and they plan on opening that fence just at the crosswalk.
Okay.
And that was the plan that they submitted, that was the plan that we gave our insurer, and they said, yeah, it doesn't work.
Okay. Well, hopefully we can find something that does work. We'll see.
Sure. Sure, I
great.
mean, it's a benefit to all my tenants.
I would think it would be, yeah.
No, it totally is a benefit to my tenants, and so I would like to accommodate them, but I
Okay.
gotta make sure that, you know, I'm sure and it's safe.
Sounds good.
Now going back to the night hours.
Sure.
Okay. When do you need the answer? You need it tonight? You need it next meeting?
Tonight would be good, but if you tell me it's the next meeting, it's the next meeting.
Okay.
I mean, so we have, you know, 4, 6 weeks, and then we could hit a serious weather issue where we can't do certain things.
You've had enough rain over the summer.
Yeah, and so, you know, one of the key things is taking up some of the sidewalks and then re-pouring them. And we want to do that work at night so we can keep some tenants open. I'm not sure we're gonna, even with this, we may not finish our work this year.
Okay.
You know, before the cold weather comes in and we're stuck. But, you know, I'm trying to do everything I can to build the most vibrant center in town, and the weather hasn't cooperated.
Hasn't cooperated with you, okay.
Yeah.
Am I reading the letter correctly? You only need a total of 1 to 2 nights?
No, I'm gonna do 1 to 2 nights several times.
Okay.
Right, so we're gonna say, okay, these 5 stores, this section of the sidewalk, this is what we take out. We can't take out all the sidewalk at once, it'd be mayhem. and then, do sections at a time.
Now taking out, you'll be jackhammering, using
Yeah.
backhoes, okay.
Yep.
Well, the water meters is no noise,
Yeah, the water meter's a piece of cake, the striping
striping's not
is,
a big deal.
is almost no noise. It's the sidewalks, taking the sidewalks out is the noisiest stuff. But we do need to do, we might get it done, but we have to trench across the exit. Right, what will be our permanent exit. That's just super hard to do during the day with the truck traffic that we have making deliveries. So, that would be noisy, but that would be about as far away from the houses as you could get as we dug across that section. So.
So just to clarify again, then,
Yeah.
it says the beginning at 8 PM for approximately 12 hours. So would that be, you go working from 8 PM to 8 AM?
Yeah.
On a couple nights, on a couple different weeks?
Yeah, and I don't think it's gonna be that long, I don't wanna come in and say, I'm gonna get it done from 8 to 12. And then we're there from 8 to 2. And you go, Tom, well, you said you're gonna be done by
Yeah.
midnight. So I don't know, I've asked for more time than I think I need. Because I wanna ask for more time and use less than do it the other way around. Say, oh yeah, I only need between, 8 and 12, and then, something happens. I mean, one of the things that we have to be cognizant of and super careful while we take out our sidewalks is that center, for whatever reason, all the water feeds from the front.
Yes.
So
And it runs down
there is
towards
a chance that I hit someone's domestic water line, in the middle of the night. And, that's gonna obviously slow things down
Of course.
as we do an emergency repair and stop the water from flowing all over the place.
So again, one just last
Sure.
question for clarification.
Absolutely.
It sounds like it says remove existing sidewalks, install new between 8 PM and 12 AM, implying that the louder portion of the work would be done before midnight, and then you'd still work overnight, but hopefully it wouldn't be as, the existing sidewalk piece, you seem to be suggesting that it would be between 8 PM and 12 AM. Am I interpreting that correctly?
Hold on, no, I'm just looking for someone.
I was gonna say.
One
They
second.
left you standing
Quick
alone.
question. Between Chipotle and Gary's, how many hours do you need to remove that sidewalk? This is the guy that's doing the work.
Okay.
I'm John Harrington, everyone.
Hello,
Hey,
John.
At least 6 or 7 hours for sure.
Okay.
I mean, I like to say it's gonna be less than that, but it's
All right, so
not.
in that section, we can start at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
So we'll be done at 2 in the morning. My other more challenging spots are where I have food establishments or Starbucks, that don't close until 10. Now, most of them are pretty good. And if I say, can you close a couple hours early? They're okay.
Yeah.
A couple of them, honestly, aren't okay. And they're really raise hell when I say you gotta close a little bit early. I can't give you a hard and fast, but I guess what we would do is we always try to make the most noise early on. So we're gonna get the most, Harrington's a big company.
Yes.
We can get 3 or 4 guys on a jackhammer. We can do all that. But I then need, to backhoe that out, put it on a truck, and get it out of there.
Which makes, yes.
And then,
noise.
so then, the next day or two, we set our forms. So typically, just tell me if I get this wrong. We set the forms, we pour the curb.
Yep.
That's one day. But that's relatively quiet work. Take the forms off, we form what we have to in the sidewalk, we pour the sidewalk. That's relatively quiet work. There's going to be an occasional beep, beep, beep as the guy brings the mixer in, extends the boom, and pours into that space. But the real noise is taking the sidewalk out. And that's where we have a risk of, hitting one of the inbound domestic water lines
Sure.
to one of the stores. We know where they are, they've all been marked out, but, sometimes things go sideways.
I know. John, you have to just at my house. And the line was marked and it wasn't in the right place.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, you got to realize that we have a lot of, we have very little information, right? The core is from 58, 59. You know, we have no documentation, so
Of
we've gone
course.
out and done ground penetrating radar and attached things to the pipe and tried to trace it out. But at times, following that scent, if you will, we lose it.
yeah,
So we got a really good mark here, at 25, 30 feet away, we got a really good mark. And we think it runs right here. It
Sometimes
should,
it takes a
but
curve.
maybe not.
Okay,
Yeah. I mean, no one thought that the domestic water line that comes in and feeds the building up by the street was 14 feet down. That's ridiculous, you know, but I don't know the history. You know, you gotta go below the frost line, so typically you find those things 48 inches down.
yeah.
But we found all sorts of things as we dig.
All right, council members, Jack? No objections, no comments,
I
okay.
have no problem with it.
Anybody have a problem with it?
Okay?
All right,
I mean, I kind of have to say that it says that it's not going to impact the neighbors, but how do you
Does it-
know until it starts?
Well,
there's always gonna be an impact. There's something
Yeah.
That's what
yeah.
I mean. Like,
okay, so cross that out. I don't know. We're gonna do the best we can, working as far away from them as we can. You know, we've done a lot around changing the existing lighting in the back, planting trees and doing all that stuff. You know, could they hear it?
Yeah.
I suppose they could.
They'll hear it.
Construction's always an inconvenience, it's gotta get done, so, you know, this is the quickest way to do it, yes.
Well, if we use a test of, you know, great is good, you know, then a few people will be inconvenienced for a couple of nights, and, you know, all the shoppers and my tenants will, you know, continue functioning.
So Christine, could we say that, you know, we'll approve this and just ask that if we get complaints, that you would come back and at least talk to us about any way to mitigate
100%.
concerns if we do receive complaints then?
Sure, it's gonna come to the zoning officer, he's got my number. You
So,
can call me
so you'll
up.
come back and talk to us if we do get complaints?
If you want me back here, and I'm in town, which I usually am, I'll be here.
I'm just wondering if that would address Christine's concerns, that, you know, they'll, I don't know.
What time do you start?
We're-
7 a.m.
Yeah,
Would it making it earlier doing it, like 6:30 or?
Probably not if it's still dark.
but bar method, I don't know what the first class is, but it's really early. I don't know if it's 5:30 or 6 o'clock, but there's a couple classes before the workday.
Could any of them use the back entrance?
That building, the UPS to now Chipotle, has a reasonably narrow driveway. I don't think that would be that safe. And they've got, you know, you could have 30, 40 cars pull in, you know, for a class. Plus typically, we've got the first class and the second class, and there's a time where, there's a brief period of time where both those cars are there. There is absolutely no way we could accommodate that in the back. There just aren't that many parking spaces.
And this will be weeknights and weekends, right?
It is highly unlikely that it'll be a weekend. Highly unlikely.
Well, to me, I would think it would be better on a weekend, no? 'Cause it's-
It's hard to mobilize the workforce. Well, it's hard enough to, you know, mobilize them at night. But Saturday night is a particularly difficult night to get a crew out to work. It's not impossible, but
This is a long time for a
it's really difficult.
session thing. This is not on the
Yeah,
agenda.
and you're
We
basically-
need to go.
You're basically, you're busy on the weekends too, your restaurants and stuff
We're
like that,
busy
so. You're busy all the time,
All the
so.
time, seems like.
Yeah, so you're just asking to do this during the week?
Yep.
Okay, Chief, any problems? It's on private
Well,
property.
with the night work?
Yeah,
No, I have no problem with that. In fact, it's probably safer. It's a lot of activity there during the day.
okay. So it's safer at night, we believe, okay.
You know, I do just have one comment. Ordinarily, you've only granted this permission to public entities, the state or whomever, but this is really a quasi-public location.
All right, should, you take a roll call on this, Jack, or just a voice vote?
I think a voice vote.
Voice vote? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to move, if there's no other comments from the council, that, permission to begin night work at Bernardsville Center as requested in, the proposal.
I'll move.
Moved by Mr. Donahue, have a second? Second. Second by Mr. Schmidt, all in favor?
Aye.
Contingent that they'll come back if we hear complaints.
Yes.
Agreed, yeah.
Abstain? Noes? No by Mr. Mara. Okay, the ayes have it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Councilman, how would you like to move forward with the school?
Actually, you know, I think the school already has a committee that's addressing this, so I mean, if you work directly with the school and then just inform us of your progress, I think that would be sufficient.
Do we know who's at the wheel there?
Baker, Robert Baker.
Oh, at the, on the
That's
school
on
board?
the school board. He's the,
I think you want the FOC from the school, or are you looking at something in the school board?
No, I want the decision maker, because the guy that runs the FOC, he gathers data and presents it. I want to be there, with the decision maker and say, okay, let's walk around, look at this, this is what my insurance says. What do you got?
Yeah, I don't know who the facility guy is.
Yeah, I don't know who that is either.
So why don't we start with the SBA or the superintendent and then go from there?
superintendent is
Yeah.
Dr. Dempsey, Dr.
Yeah.
Gretchen Dempsey.
Okay,
And then she might need to assign somebody.
Right.
yeah, that's fine.
Your email's not on.
Sure, I'll give it to you. My email is Tom at Bravo, AV, BRAVO, AV, as in audiovideo.com.
So I'll send you Gretchen's then.
Yeah, and then we'll find out who the one person is on the other side. And then when we get a better feel for what they have to say, then we'll talk to our our broker and say, okay, here's our situation. I know you're gonna find this hard to believe, but not everybody wants to insure a shopping center. So the pool is not as wide as you think it is.
Well, maybe there's something the school can do that will make your current insurer more happy,
I was surprised that they didn't come back with a list of corrective action that would make them
Right.
happy.
Yeah.
They just said, yeah, we're not doing it, and we're canceling your policy if you do this.
Okay.
So I was, I was like, whew, okay, I guess I'm not flexing on that.
We can start with this, and you can revisit the second part of it.
Very good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your help.
everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, anybody else from the open session of item not on the agenda? Seeing none, I'll close the open session, move the presentation. Seeing we have none, I'll move the items of business. We have ordinances. Okay, we have, I'll entertain a motion to move that a public hearing on ordinance 1782 concerning signs and amending chapter 12 of the Borough Code entitled zoning of the Borough Land Development Code be continued with no additional notice to a regular meeting of the governing body on October 22nd, 2018, to allow the planning board additional time to complete its review of the ordinance. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Moved by Mr. O'Day, second by Mr. Schmidt. Roll call, please.
Mr. Donahue?
Aye.
Mr. O'Day?
Aye.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Ms. Zamara?
Yes.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to move that a public hearing on ordinance 1783 concerning uses permitted in the one industrial district and amending chapter 12 of the Borough Code, Land Development Code entitled be continued with no additional notice to the regular meeting of the governing body on October 22nd to allow the planning board additional time to complete its review of the ordinance. I think that's the one, sir, you had a question on.
Yes, I have several questions. My
Isn't-
property
And we're gonna
is-
continue this for a
October
public
22nd.
hearing, so,
Isn't that the public time for questions?
yeah, that, the public hearing would be the time for questions now, so they're gonna move this to,
Okay, is that moving to October 22nd?
October 22nd, yes. And in the meantime, if you have any, if you want any specific updates, you can contact the clerk on anything that's coming out or anything, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
I would like to make the point, Mary, that both of these ordinances are being continued only because the planning board didn't have a meeting between our last meeting and this meeting, and therefore didn't have the opportunity to review the ordinances as required by the municipal land use law.
And the planning board meeting would be the one, actually really looking at this and making another recommendation to the council.
And when is the planning board meeting to discuss the recommendations for the borough council?
Generally, they just comment on whether or not the ordinance is, it's a double negative, and it's a language of the statute, not inconsistent with the master plan. So that's generally the extent of their, so I think the public hearing before the council is probably the best place to.
I mean, I don't want to sound out of order here.
Sure, no,
but,
sorry.
certainly, my property abutting the quarry and receiving the certified letter along with all of my neighbors up and down Liberty, and I don't know if any of them are here tonight, but, with the planning board, if the decision is made and a recommendation is made to the borough council, the decision is likely made at that time, and that's why, there are some serious questions that I have with regards to opening that up to more significant truck traffic than already exists. You have the only athletic field in the borough.
And I think the 22nd, so everybody from the public could hear this, that's concerned.
But Mayor, if I clarify.
Yes.
This is a very limited ordinance. It still repeals the 2015 ordinance that allowed the materials recycling facility. It just returns it to the status quo that it was prior to the 2015 ordinance.
I understand that, but I mean, I guess I would look at it and say, how much traffic are they talking about as far as for a concrete and asphalt and soil recycling facility? And what type of trucks are going to be rolling down the quarry lane there when you've got the ball field there? And, you've got parked cars. I mean, I was just down there. There was an 18-wheeler that came rolling down with a 53-foot trailer, in tow. And it was, 4 feet on each side, almost hitting cars that were parked on the street. But,
But that activity is currently, I don't want.
Go ahead, Jack.
It's better to go in the 22nd.
Yeah, it's
But
better
that
done,
activity's been
yeah.
permitted.
Absolutely,
And it's
I guess
permitted
what I'm looking at now is, yes, and I understand, my kids have played ball there through the years, and I understand that traffic exists now.
Right.
The question comes down to it is, does the frequency increase, and do the size of the vehicles become larger in the number of, are you talking about dump trucks trying to navigate the roadway with, you have dump trucks bringing asphalt and concrete for recycling as an 18-wheeler?
And that's gonna be further discussion, so everybody can participate on the 22nd.
Jack, can you try to explain one more time what this is doing?
Yes, all this does is clarifies the prior ordinance. Prior to the adoption of the ordinance in 2015 that allowed the materials recovery facility, the ordinance permitted the processing of stone or rock products, as well as concrete, asphalt, and soil. They were inadvertently taken out as part of the ordinance repealing the 2015 ordinance. So as I say, all this does is return to the status quo that existed prior to 2015. This ordinance should not result in any change of uses at the quarry. In fact, if there are any there, they could continue with non-conforming uses in any event. But as you can see, paragraph J, which allowed materials recovery facility and was really allowed applicants in that matter to apply to DEP, that's all remains repealed by this ordinance.
Okay, so this is just moving this to the October 22nd
Second.
agenda. If there's public comment at that time, please come back to the October 22nd meeting.
Correct.
I'm sorry, can we get your name and address just for the record?
Yes, it's Philip Malik, M-A-H-L-I-K, and I'm at 67 Liberty Road, Block 121, Lot 1.
And again, anybody with concerns with this, the 22nd, full public hearing. Okay. Phil, thank you. All right, so entertain a motion by council member. Moved by Mr. Schmidt. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Donahue. Roll call, please.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan,
Abstain.
Mr. Schmidt,
Yes.
Mr. O'Day,
Yes.
Mr. Donahue,
Yes.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to move that ordinance 1784, an ordinance prohibiting dogs and other pets on borough athletic fields, and supplementing and amending Chapter 5 of the Borough Code entitled Animal Control, be introduced by title, passed on first reading, published according to law, and that a public hearing be scheduled for a meeting beginning 7 p.m. Monday, October 22nd, 2018. Do I have a motion? Do I have a motion from the council member?
I'll move.
Moved by Mr. Mara. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. O'Day. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Anthony, the ayes have it. All right, I want to entertain a motion to move that ordinance 1785, an ordinance vacating a paper street known as Alexander Avenue, be introduced by title, passed on first reading, published according to law, and that a public hearing be scheduled for a meeting beginning 7 p.m. Monday, October 22nd, 2018. Do I have a motion?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Schmidt,
Second.
second by Mr. Donahue. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Any opposed? Any abstentions? No. Okay, I'll move on to resolutions. We have resolutions 18-217 to 18-224. Any council members want to pull any for discussion or questions?
Just a quick question on 19. Is any provision for a use it or lose it on an inactive ABC license?
I'm sorry.
Jack?
On an ABC license, can there be a use it or lose it provision, or?
There is, but they've gone to ABC and for a special ruling, and ABC has allowed them to renew an inactive license.
Okay. Does that come up periodically? In the future, could somebody contest that? Say, it'd be nice to have an extra bar in town?
Well, you know what, that's governed by state statute.
I know,
Whatever your population.
but if they would
yeah.
petition, somebody else could, I guess it's a public hearing, I would imagine.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Would be.
How often do those come up, typically?
I don't remember it ever coming up.
They got that for 2 years, so it's good for this year and next
All right.
licensing term.
All
Then
right.
they would have to apply for another special ruling if they wanted to go for a third one.
Gotcha. That was just a question, let me pull it.
Okay, good. Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to move resolution 18-217 to 18-224. Have a motion?
I'll move.
That was Mr. O'Day.
Okay.
Second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Schmidt. Roll call, please.
Mr. Donahue,
Aye.
Mr. O'Day,
Aye.
Mr. Schmidt,
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan,
Yes.
Mrs. Jones.
Yes.
Okay, item 6C, letter to the FAA, we already addressed. Item 6D, turf field.
Yeah, I think there's a number of comments on this
I
one.
think so, yes. John, you put it on
Well,
the
yeah,
agenda,
because,
so
I guess,
I'll let you speak first.
well, speak first.
Yeah.
I don't have any kids in sports, so I can't speak specifically
Yes,
to, which
and-
I'm glad
and
that
we'll-
the soccer,
we'll listen,
football,
everyone.
and lacrosse are
Yes,
here.
we'll listen,
We have this
everyone.
great turf field, but it doesn't appear that it can be used for all its intended purposes for a number of reasons. I mean, there's
Uh-huh.
fencing, and also largely there's plumbing and water and lack of ice and things like that, but rather than me sort of like pontificate on that, I'd rather have some people that they can invite them up to sort of talk about your
Sure.
particular scenario, so we can sort of start to gather all the info under one roof and maybe, put together a group of people who actually know what they need.
And formulate a plan.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Correct.
Coaches
Do we
first?
have, before we
Anybody?
go to the public
Let's go.
comments portion?
Yes.
Do we have any history which we can provide to the public about how this came about and what was included in the original plan?
Well, we worked
What
with
was not
county
included?
engineering, and basically, we worked with that plan. Doug Walker sent us all an email, and I believe, John, you guys met with Doug already?
Yeah, we were kind of walking the field because I guess Ned come to us about the fencing, and that could have led to a sort of snowball effect of people who happened to be there said, this is other items we see.
There's other items that we could do and, improve moving forward in the future, and see what immediate fixes we need.
Yeah, and obviously with the county being involved, I guess that's a level of complexity that sort of we need help navigating also.
Yes, and that's where we come into place with
Correct.
the governing body.
I think as we talk about comments and concerns about the field and the existing facilities and incremental needs, it's important to differentiate the things that were originally part of the plan and understood to be part of the plan, and then those things that are incremental beyond the plan and were understood to not be included in the original plan as it was presented. Like there was a lengthy discussion on several occasions about what was included and what wasn't included in the $1 million project that established the field in the first place. So I'm just saying that, as we talk about issues and people bring up their concerns, whatever concerns you have and whatever incremental work that needs to be done, it's good to categorize which one was part of the original plan and you feel it needs to be modified, changed, or upgraded, and what was not in the original plan, acknowledge that it wasn't in the original plan, and now is basically like a phase 2 type request.
Yeah, I also think as you use it, you see the things that the shortcomings, as a matter of practice, so.
Okay.
Lengthy is an understatement. The excruciating detail that went through is huge.
Joe Spada,
Thank you, sir.
okay.
How you doing?
Varsity boys soccer coach, also involved in the soccer program. When the field was being done, because I teach at the middle school,
Yes.
I went out a couple of times and talked to the guys that were working there, great guys, and they're all, and I said, are we making, the field long enough, wide enough? And I, thinking about other sports too, because I just don't involved with soccer. I think everybody's is all excited about the turf field coming in. Majorly excited. Because if you ever know what goes on up at the schools, there's no fields. We have all these sports programs going in, and we keep adding them, and we don't have anywhere when the weather's bad, and the township's been great trying to keep up the lower Evan Cow and all the fields, but the turf field was a blessing, and we were all excited. And then when the field got put down, I said to the gentleman, I said, "You sure you're going to have it long?" And I don't know who it was. It's long enough and wide enough for soccer and all the sports. And they seemed, yeah, we were going by the specification. No one ever came and asked the head boys coach at the high school, and also pretty much involved in the community, about the dimensions. And I don't know if anybody addressed it to the football guys who are going to be using it, and how that's where their home is. And I don't know if anybody talked to the lacrosse people. So I know all this was put into effect, but I was never asked about anything. And that's where I think all this is coming in.
Okay.
Because even when they were putting the fences in, I said, aren't those fences a little close? Because it's still, no, we'll be all right. And it wasn't. So the fences, and these gentlemen will talk about their specific things, but if it's too narrow, they can't even play football because the end zone, and I'm thinking their Thunder is too narrow the field for soccer because the ball goes right into the fence, and for the other sports, I don't, lacrosse, maybe lines or something.
Okay.
But we were excited, and I can't play any home games there. So I have to play our home games at the high schools now. Football is trying to practice on it. Lacrosse is trying to practice on it. With the weather we've had, it's like we're in Seattle. It's crazy. All we're getting is rain, rain, rain. And we had to start our game today at 4:30 and have to put the lights on, and now we're getting involved with the community with the so it's getting tough.
Okay.
And that field was supposed to be put in so that could be basically our home, and other sports. So everybody had a place to train and a place to play.
All right, and we're working with county engineering still. Our conversations continue in meetings with county engineering.
Right.
This has gone in front of our recreation committee a number of times.
Okay.
And there were representatives from different
Yeah.
organizations on recreation at the time.
But I let people know.
But I understand your point.
Just
I'm not
just soccer,
discounting.
anyway, is there like a governing body, or whether it be that sets like field size for playability, for safety, that's sort of a standard that nationally or in the state?
The length is supposed to be 110 and the width should be at least 65. okay, at least 65,
That's a legal field to play.
yes,
Okay.
okay, and that's 58
Okay.
wide. So, it's just not conducive to play on it.
Okay.
So all we can do is practice on it, and we can't play. And it's difficult, it's a shame. So I'm here just because I think for everybody in the community, again, and I'll let other people talk, we're really excited that it's there, but it needs to be modified.
All right.
And on our end, it's the width.
And we'll continue to
So-
work on that, but I thank you.
Yeah.
Ralph Maresca, I
That's
think
okay,
that,
guys,
I think that there was a discussion with Cheryl Fronte, Recreation, about the width question, and whether or not it was a requirement or a request, or like a preference. Was that actually determined?
She had gotten information for request for temporary lines to be put down.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We had said that we would just even paint the lines so that we could at least play on it until whatever adjustments were made,
Sure.
but then we heard anything about it.
You
So,
didn't hear anything back? Okay, we'll get back on that.
yeah.
And that would be to you,
Yeah, or
temporary lines, or
Mike
whoever else?
Hoppy, who's the athletic
Yes.
director.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
just appreciate your time.
No, I appreciate you coming out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we just, the kids are excited and everybody is. We just want to get on.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Mrs. Swett.
Appreciate it, yeah.
Next. I thought I saw a hand there. Yes, sir. Good evening.
Hi, everybody.
How are
My name is Ned Ginty. Would it be okay if I sit?
Hi, Ned, how you doing?
Hi.
Sure, you
Okay,
want to
if I
sit? Can you hear me sit now?
Yeah, I just drove 4 hours
You're
from
pretty good.
Saratoga from Pine.
Sit down, relax.
So
Thank you.
it's on mic.
It really doesn't, just,
All right.
if you speak loud enough, he'll be able to hear you in
If
the
I'm grumpy,
recording.
it's not at you. It's just a T. Look, I'm here for really one reason,
Mhm.
and that is to request a working committee be established among all of the youth sports to determine how to best use the facility there that is financially affordable for the organizations.
Mhm.
All the things that people might be talking about in terms of, the fencing and, other aspirational aspects of the field, that's part of it, but that's just part of it. The issue is that the football program will run a deficit starting next year when fees are included for usage of the fields. On top of us having to, for the first time, pay for lights, because we've had benefactors do that before. On top of that, we are not comfortable as a board using that field as a game field for a number of reasons. Not only, even if the fence was extended to meet the 15-yard minimum, the 5-yard minimum by the NJSIAA, our parents are not comfortable with their children playing with that lack of distance between the end of the end zone and the fencing. In addition to that, because of the positioning of the baseball field, there's varying degrees of distance between the 40-yard line and the 15-yard line. It's the far 40-yard line and the 15-yard line. Okay, so it's about 50, that's 50 yards, correct? That does not make playing games, especially with diesel lights that have to be that far back, safe for our children to play. Fine for practice, right, but not for games. Additionally, not having that structure, as we'll call it, on that premises serve as it was traditionally as an opportunity for us to sell goods for now the second year in a row. We don't have the ability to generate a good source of revenue. And lastly, and it is my single most important point, is that this will be the second year in a row, last year because the field is being constructed, this year because it's not being able to meet the standards, that our fundraising has been substantially hurt. Because we rely primarily on advertising, meaning signage that's going to be used for the field. So those are major issues. So I would like to have a working committee proposed that includes people from every sporting group, And.
I'm writing what you say,
Okay,
so I'm not
that's fine.
ignoring you. I don't think
I'm
that.
pausing more so I don't fall asleep,
Yes.
not because of you. Township committee, as well as a member of the rec committee, or two, and some experts in the field. And by the field, I mean the various things that we believe are going to help. One of the things that we will send to you, we had a survey that we did with our parents. So 130 families in the program, 100 participated in the survey with varying degrees of, there are 10 questions, and ultimately all of them are dissatisfied with the current state or the fees that would be necessary, to meet what the rec committee proposed to us. So here's the bottom line. The bottom line is that the football program, with the endowment that it has right now, will be able to meet all of its objectives for 1 year. And that is by not playing beyond this year. So for 2019, it can meet its obligations by playing at the high school and practicing at the high school and not using the turf field with any capacity.
Okay.
And that is simply because the costs are too much for us to bear. If we use the turf field, we will be in a deficit of $20,000. If we use the high school, we will be in a slight I wouldn't call it surplus, we'll just have a slight amount in the endowment. So it is just financially unsustainable for us. That being said, again, the reason why I'm here is to request a working group to figure out how we can make it sustainable and to use the intelligence and capabilities, resources, creativity of all the people that would be a part of that committee to ultimately find solutions.
I think that's a great idea and solution to the
Yeah,
problem.
gotta
So-
keep it
so we
kind of
can-
on
so we can
point.
work
I
together
mean, as a
forward.
non-sports parent, I can see the benefit of having this because,
Yeah.
no, like it or not, the surrounding towns have it and people, the qualitative thing to talk about as far as setting ourselves apart, so.
No,
yeah.
and I know you're very active with the program, we've discussed.
Yeah, look, I love this town, I love the football program, and I'm probably spending between 30 hours a week on the football program alone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's in addition to probably 60 hours a week I work and commute to the city and back. I'm not only the president, but I'm also a coach on the 6th grade team. I'm also a coach on the lacrosse team, and I also help out the basketball. So, there's a lot of things in terms of perspective that I can bring in terms of what the optimal situation is. Another example would just be the soccer coach brought up the weather. When we have lightning or thunder, we don't have the ability to access any shelter other than the structure building on the field, which does not fit 130 kids.
What did you have when there was just a field?
Can you
What
repeat?
did you have when there was just a field? My point is, there's no
At the high
shelter.
school, we can get into the high school, right? And it's just easier, for instance, like, the fact that Mike is probably, my copy is either in the building or Coach Simino or just somebody. It's easier to get access. Right? There's a functional snack shack at the high school, right? In the few games that we've had, we've netted $1,500 just from food alone, which we've not been able to do for the last couple of years. That's only for a few games. So anyway, I don't want to get into the level of detail.
Well, I think Mr. Schmidt's question, though, is about, is it an incremental improvement from what it was before the turf field was built? So with the turf field now, is it incrementally better than what existed prior to the turf field being?
In terms of financial viability, absolutely not.
It's the same then?
No, it's worse. Because if the rec committee was gracious enough to postpone the fees by 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
With the fees being initiated in 2018, it will, again, financially, yes, it's worse, right? And that's what we care most about. I would prefer not to practice in mud, right? But the other thing too that people have to understand is that by playing on the polo, let's just call it campus, okay? Yes, there's a likelihood, there's a lower likelihood of field closure because of the turf, but not all of our teams can fit on the turf. So we will have at least 2 to 3 levels having to be canceled in terms of their practices with inclement weather. At the high school, they will not close the fields. Again, not that all of our parents want to see their kids muddy and coming into their house, but that's football. You're going to play in every condition other than lightning. Mm-hmm. So the point is that, yes, we love the fact that for 3 programs, or 3 levels, which is what we can fit on the turf field, in inclement weather, they can continue to practice, provided there's some lightning. But there are a number of things, and we can go over the cost benefits as we see them, but the single most important thing is I don't believe that the community, and it shows as much in our survey, are fully aware of the increased financial burden that will be on them. We have to either raise $30,000 in a capital campaign, or every single family member, provided that we don't drop in terms of our participation in football, the current fees per family is $275, that would have to be doubled.
Okay. So Ralph, how much taxpayer money did we use to build the field?
I believe it was about $385,000.
$385,000. Did the soccer, lacrosse, softball, baseball, or football programs put up any money in addition to our $385,000?
Not to my knowledge.
Did the county pay something for this field?
The county paid over $700,000.
Okay, so we have made quite an investment in these programs and in the field. I would just recognize that as something that has contributed.
It's contributed, but I want people to understand that it's, for football in particular, it is a very capital-intensive sport, and also just expense-oriented sport, whether it relates to refurbishing of equipment, insurance, you name it. And I really want people within the community to get under the hood with us and understand that, and partner with us to understand, look, there's too much talent in this community to basically not tap to figure out this solution.
So I agree with you 100%. I think your proposal to have a working committee, have representatives, work together, try and come up with a solution, a good way forward. But I think we also have to recognize that the town has made an investment in this program, and so far, we can continue to make more investments.
I don't think I'm disputing that. I think what we're doing is we've gone kind of halfway there, and if we're going to do this,
So basically, you started off by saying you want to folks. Mr. Jitney has the floor. If I hope I pronounce your name right. Ned Gitney. Yeah. Gitney.
So,
But
that's what I want, because I know when there's a problem, there's a solution. This is a very capable town. We want to scale the intelligence and resources of this town to figure out the solution, because we know as it stands right now, in 2020, we don't have a football program.
Could you, do you have volunteers ready to join this group, or people? I know a few that would probably step up, but I don't want to. It should be more organic, bottom up versus.
It needs to be bottom up because we need to have people understand, I think, what talent is needed. Like, it's a wish list of, like, we need people who are really experienced in fundraising.
Yeah.
We need people who are really experienced in what type of fundraising.
You're going to need a diverse group of people.
Correct, but people who are, not pointing fingers, because I can point at myself, we need people who are going to roll up sleeves and not provide news reports, as I like to say in my office, right? And it's people who are going to realize that, dissent doesn't mean disloyalty, right? It means let's figure out the right solution. Exactly. And that's why I'm here, and I hope you guys agree with that, and ultimately, we need to have people who know what they're doing, for lack of a better term. And I think for those that want to participate, I think we have to have a very strict selection process to say you can help, but maybe you're going to be a subcommittee member and not someone who's leading the charge in something about which you are passionate but not experienced.
And we'll include all the program.
All
Just
the
my
everyone.
opinion. I'm
Right.
only one vote. So.
Right, because there are different issues about
Yeah.
lighting, for instance. Lacrosse has different issues than football. Football could use lacrosse, but lacrosse can't use football based on the height. So
Soccer has different issues. Everybody
different
has different
issues.
issues.
But the fees are a big important thing because, and I'll show you the survey, but almost 100% of the people said in the survey that any increased amount of fees from today will significantly reduce their willingness to participate in a sport next year.
And just for Ralph, we're counting on the fees to sort of build a sinking fund over time to help the replacement. Is that right?
That was the intent.
And if we fall, what happens if we fall short? I'm just sort of if.
Then we're kicking a can down the road in 10 years or 15 years from now.
I'd love to give them many fundraising opportunities as possible,
Yes,
revenue generating,
most
so we can avoid that.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I think, you know, it makes sense that for people who have the benefit of using the field, assuming the field is acceptable, if people have the benefit of using the field, then, and the field has a useful life associated with that, hopefully there can be some, you know, gauge. We want to keep that facility available to people over the long term. So as it's wearing out, we need to kind of be putting aside funds to replace it.
Yeah, and if you have the right facilities, you can also rent it to third parties for other things. Like
And we have a
cross
fee
tournaments
schedule for that too.
But you know, a lot of times it's things like your point, I'm learning this too, is, you know, without certain like provisions for heat stroke, like ice or running water nearby, it kind of prevents that from even, you know, leasing it for those kind of events.
Yeah, I think part of that committee, one of the most important things too, is understanding what we are liable for and what resources we need to make sure that our liability is reduced. John made the point, like in USA football, we must have a cooling station, right? If we don't have running water there and somebody gets heat stroke and God forbid something happens, that is a real problem. Okay, I mean, it's obviously for the victim, but you know, even if they, you know, can come around to it, it's a significant liability cost for us. So anyway, the point
How was that addressed? How was that addressed last year
know,
before the turf field
Sorry?
existed? How was this issue addressed about heat stroke last year before the turf field was built?
we had ice buckets and water and other things. Look, it's putting a Band-Aid on issues and, you know, kind of hoping in good faith it wasn't going to happen, and having people who are USA certified to witness, you know, the issues with heat stroke and having AEDs and all these types of things. But also USA football ups their health requirements and safety requirements every single year. That's why you have to be recertified, because every year they increase, you know, not only the burden, the expectation of all of us with respect to our first aid capabilities. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. And we've had various conversations over the summer, but thank you very much.
Please
And
understand the
very
clock is
no.
ticking for us, right? It is August 2020 is not that far away, and we need action with everyone now. And I'm ready, you know, to roll up my sleeves even further.
Could you delegate someone to set the working group up, or at least get the names? I know you got a lot on your plate already, so I'm not putting on you, but if you know someone who'll do this and sort of run the list and sort of boil it down to
Yeah, look, I think the first step is ultimately creating the group and getting people in a roll up your sleeves meeting from every organization and saying, bring your list of needs. And like, you can separate the need from the wants and the wishes from the essentials. The essentials obviously being prioritized. And then figuring out what those the types of people that are needed, and then going out and trying to find them.
And whatever you have, funnel it through our borough clerk's office, so we have a permanent record for everyone.
Yeah.
So he could distribute it to everyone, okay?
Okay, thank you for your time.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next, yes.
Can I just ask Ralph a question? So Ralph, Doug Walker's not here, he's on vacation. But Doug Walker and maybe yourself met with the county to talk about specifically the fence issue, which I think has got a lot of interest in the public space, the issue of the distance of the fence from the end goal line on both ends of the field. Is that right?
That's correct.
And the county responded in writing about what their proposal was? Do you have that?
Yes.
It's actually,
Sent to all council.
it's our package.
So the county's response was that the furthest, they gave us this is the county responding to us, that there's an ASTM STP 1073, natural and artificial playing fields, characteristics and safety features, provides safety guidance. And they highlighted to us, and this is the county talking now, so I'm just referring this information. Doug Walker requested that we refer to this information during the discussion in his absence. That the furthest game line of the end zone shall be no closer than 30 feet away, and if closer dimension is required, a padded fence or wall should be installed. Goes on to a few other things about lighting fixtures not in the end zone and a couple other stuff. But that's the most relevant part, talking about the end zone and the padded fence. So the county has taken the position that they will provide padding for the fence at no cost to the borough for the existing field, and that beyond that, the county is saying it's the municipality's responsibility to make any other changes that they deem necessary. They're taking the position that this ASTM STP 1073 standard applies in this situation from their perspective, and that a padded fence is sufficient. That's what the county is saying to us. All right, I just wanted to have that on the record because Doug Walker's not here to say that himself.
Right.
And he emailed us and said, please have this information available for the meeting.
So. How you doing tonight? How are
Hi, Steve Reynolds. That was part of my question, like the design engineer, if they were hired by the town or the county and how the design engineer didn't know what the appropriate setbacks for a monument at the back of the end zone would be.
Mm-hmm.
So are we saying the design engineer provided the design for the project not knowing what the fence setback should be?
So I'm going to defer that question to people who were on the council at the time that this was approved. I'm just relaying the information that I got. This was actually a project that was approved before my time, so I don't know the details of it except from reading and reviewing the minutes as well as looking at the video of the meetings when this was discussed. So I'm going to defer to council members who were here.
I can't speak for any of the engineers, but what we can say is that the ASTM spec that was just read, that it talks about the 30 feet or if it's less to be padded, that's probably something they took into consideration because of the wetlands and other constraints that we had there. It's most likely thought that, okay, we have this that says if it's less, we can pad it. Why it wasn't padded initially and it's being padded possibly now is something I brought up too, and no one really has an answer for that. But
So it says if it's 30 feet or closer.
if it's under 30
It's under
feet,
30 feet.
it's acceptable to pad it.
To pad it. Is it 30 feet right now?
No,
It's about approximately 12 feet.
So you're saying 12 feet from the back of the end zone is the fence?
12 feet from the furthest part of the end zone to the fence.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Wood? Oh, I'm sorry, Jeff. I'll get to you guys. He had his hand up. I'm trying to go in order.
Hi, everyone.
How you doing?
Good. Josh Wood. I live at 24 Hall Road in Bernardsville, and I'm the president of the Somerset Hills Lacrosse Club. I just wanted to voice my support for the committee that Ned proposed, and also we don't, as far as our league is concerned, we don't have any regulations in terms of the fencing. The games are a little bit different, but you know, from a safety perspective, it would be much better if the fence were further away. There's just nothing in our league's regulations that require it currently. But I did want to add that what we do have to concern ourselves is where the seating is. With U.S. Lacrosse and our league, players have to be on one side of the field, and the spectators have to be on the opposite side of the field. And if it's not set up that way, then the referees will let the games be conducted until that's remedied. And that's getting to be more and more of a concern with the league as there are more problems with parents acting out on the field and the problems that have been evolving in all kinds of youth sports throughout the country in the last several years. So that's our concern. It's just that we need to make sure that the seating's in the appropriate place. The only time where it's acceptable not to have that is if there's a physical barrier and this, like a fence, but then the seating is on the other side of the barrier.
Okay.
So I just wanted to get that in the public record, and I am exploring this more, but you know, in all the research I've done so far, those are the only requirements I've seen.
Josh, thank you.
Okay.
So Josh, are you guys using the field now?
No, we're out of season, so there's nothing with our club.
Do you have any concern with using the field when you are in season?
Not presently.
Which with the netting, I've been told the net, because I don't know anything about lacrosse, should be come around because the shots that come sideways, you got people walking down the sideline and they get drilled with a pretty fast-moving object.
Yes. So last year when we discussed the netting, I don't remember us getting to any of the specifics about it. When we were here at the council meeting, the one discussion we had was whether or not the netting was required for us to start the season, and it's not something that's required. But from a safety perspective, I think, you know, the town should want there to be netting going all the way around it, because especially as you get into the upper middle school, with the upper middle school kids, and when the high school kids are using it, a lacrosse ball is extremely hard, and the velocity is impressive, and the kids are getting bigger, stronger, and faster, and that's only going to increase over time. So that is a concern I have, that there should, what is at the high school is a good model. That is what I think safety would dictate that we have that type of netting behind the field.
Behind the field, like behind the goals or all the
Yeah,
way,
it
all
wraps
around the entire
it
field?
kind of, not the whole field. If you look at where the net is here, so that it would wrap around like that.
Sort of like a C shape in the
Yeah,
back of the net?
yes, yeah. And again, the best thing to do would be to look at it when the high school has it up, or see pictures of that, because that's a good way to go.
All the way on the end.
Thank you.
Ned, did you have a follow-up on something?
Yeah, just a follow-up quickly on the fence. Part of the working group, I think, should be about what is permissible and what is truly respectable / acceptable by the parents for their kids. But I think the most important thing is we should set the standard by what the padding should be, right? I mean, my personal opinion is there shouldn't be a fence there, but clearly we have to figure out what is permissible based on any other restrictions that we have. But if there were no other way around this but having a fence there, I mean, I want that thing looking like a moonwalk, right? Like a bouncy house, honestly. Because you see it in the NFL. There were 3 concussions last week in the NFL alone by receivers running through the end zone and hitting a wall, right? Which is also about 5 yards, right? We have children. We don't want that clearly to happen. Okay, so I think we, at the very least, have to set the standard by which we determine what kind of padding is there, and not just whatever the county decides.
And that's where our working committee will come into place. Okay, Jeff and Matt, you're next. You guys had your hands up. Good evening, Jeff.
Jeff Hammond, 18 Flintlock Court. Actually, my question was a follow-up to that. He stole my thunder. I'm not familiar with this ASTM standard. If I understand it, you said if it's below 30 feet, you have to have padding. But does that standard say there's a minimum below which you can't go? In other words, you couldn't have a fence 1 foot away from the end line, even no matter how padded it is. So 12 feet doesn't sound very far to me. What does that standard say that?
We're looking at a fragment of it here. We don't have the whole spec in front of us.
This is what the county sent us, and it just has item 1. I'll read the full sentence, and this is the full extent of what it talks about. The furthest game line of the end zone shall be no closer than 30 feet, or if a closer dimension is required, a padded fence or wall shall be installed. That's the entirety of what they sent us.
Well, I'm familiar with ASTM standards in other domains.
Me too.
And I can't believe that's the extent of the standard.
It may not be. That's a fragment that we have in here.
It would behoove us to know, because there has to be a minimum below which you can't go. And it may be that 12 feet is.
Also, I think you have to allow for evolution of safety standards too. So I mean, it's, I don't do kids with the contact sport, but what we do every year, they kind of iterate a little bit more. So,
one of the sorry to interject, but one of the most important things is understanding what governing body of our organization permits. So the county can say, no offense, but they can say what they want. But if our football league that's governed by the NJSIAA says, we're not letting you play, then we don't have a home field. So it's important in this working group is to understand certain youth sports are going to have governing bodies that say, these are the minimum standards that we require, or we are all liable.
Do we have something that the NJSIAA gave us on this?
I can get it from our commissioner, because they're the ones who inspected our field and told us that we violated that.
When did that inspection occur?
August. I don't know the exact date, but it was August.
Oh, that's just approximate, yeah.
And then if you just, like I said, send that all to the clerk so you could disseminate it to the council, and it's public record then also.
And just actually to follow up on something that Mr. Spotto said. So this was designed by county engineers, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Was it designed to our specs, however, or we didn't have a chance to review that to make sure that our specs were followed?
I don't think there was anybody.
Our engineers did review it.
Against what specifications?
Yeah, but your question is, did we design it? No, we did not design the field.
They designed the field.
So our engineers were reviewing their work based on what?
Based on their experience and recommendations of, I guess, building fields in other towns.
I guess where I'm going here is, what's the liability of the county engineers? if we have to have significant investment to fix things beyond what they're willing to do, what's their liability?
I think the field was
For us to
built
pursue.
to a statement of work that was approved by whatever hoops they go through to build such a thing. I don't know if that was ever questioned. I don't think it was ever any violations. Do you remember anything like that?
I don't think so. We built
The
it
excruciating
according to
detail
specs,
that thing went
We
through.
assumed the specs were, standard specs for fields being built.
Right.
So-
We don't dive that deep into it, and we rely on their
Yeah,
expertise.
but what I'm hearing is that the standard field wasn't standard.
Then you-
So that may be something for you and the division to consider.
Well, there's smaller fields, there's larger fields. I mean, it's, just because it doesn't fit the shoe of one person doesn't mean it doesn't fit for others. So I don't think it's, an illegal type of size for play of different sports. It may be for certain, I don't know.
It
But
doesn't fit the needs.
All right, well, let's just not start hold on, we're speaking in order here, so. Matt's next, Mary Jane,
All right,
then
thank you.
whoever else, sir, you had your hand up, so, and, Matt. Good evening.
Hello, Matt Marino, 21B Fox Hollow Trail. Just a question and comment. Jeff kind of stole my thunder. There's a lot of thunder stealing here. Regarding the construction of the field, so the fence was put in, but obviously there was an issue with it. Was the fence installed, I guess my question, knowing that it was going to be a problem down the road? In other words, like, if there were these rules in place that the fence has to be so far apart, was it constructed knowing, like, was there any thought given to this at all?
That'll be a county engineering question, you're asking us
Okay,
county
okay,
engineering questions here.
that's totally fine.
Good.
I mean, as far as the, and Jeff kind of mentioned the liability too, which was my other question, but you answered that. I would say, like, I used to coach tennis, like, for a number of years, and I actually used to coach assistant track too. So, the safety part is really important, and I think, one thing I've learned is that, the rules are changing in terms of what's safe. So, like, when I first started coaching, we didn't have, like, as a coach, I didn't have to go through, like, concussion protocol, like, know what I have to do, but now they do. When I first started coaching, we didn't have any kind of, like, heat stroke protocol that I had to go through, like, an online course, and now there is. So I would say in terms, and that's all, it's NJSIAA, it's other governing bodies too. So with all these safety things added, like, the field could be a really galvanizing place for youth sports. I've seen a lot of communities do it like that, but and I think the committee is a really good idea to have, because there are a lot of safety protocols in place now that may not even be in place when the field was first being planned. So I would say, Tom had asked a question about, like, what was the heat protocol before, and maybe it wasn't as specific as it is now, but that's because the rules have changed a lot so much in a couple of years. So I would just say that going forward, whatever is done to get the kids back on the field, definitely make safety a priority, and look at what's going on, look at the state, look at the professional leagues, look at some of the rules that are being implemented too, because it's a shame that they can't plan on it. But I think, like you said, if you have this committee, they work together, they'll be back out there soon and enjoying it. So.
And we could grow as time goes on.
Absolutely, yeah, because it really could be. I think long term, like I said, I've been in communities where they've built turf fields, and it's taken a little bit of time to kind of get off the ground. But when everything is all said and done, the field is set and everyone is safe. They can, like I said, they can be a great source for the community, and they can also be an income producing source as well. So.
Very good.
Maybe it's an idea to maybe have, because there's a lot of questions that we can't answer just because we're not involved in it.
Sure.
Is have someone from the county that was involved in the design, the engineering, have them come up and have a Q&A session. A lot of these questions are great questions, but it's not something that we're involved with.
And
we didn't design the field. All we really did was write a check, to be honest with you. Okay? We heard everyone wanted a field, and we went and we made it happen. We didn't get involved in the design. We didn't get involved in all these questions. But I would love to have them answered because they're all valid.
Right, and that's
So-
it. You give it to the expert, you kind of put the experts, and like I said, you know what? It would be good to have those questions answered, because I think ultimately we all want the field to be safe, we all want the field, and we want the kids back on the field.
And we wanted to address multiple sports.
Nobody disagrees with any of
That's
that.
it.
So,
That's it.
so why don't we just agree that we'll have the people who design the field or people who are responsible for these specifications and the fence, and we'll have them come in and they can answer the questions.
I think so. Mary, I'll tell you, blue is the color of the night. Everybody, almost everybody has blue except for Chris. I don't know.
My pants are blue.
All right.
Mary Jane Knows, Autumn Hill Road. I'll be very brief. I just want to say, I think we need to get beyond the whys and the hows.
Yep.
You know, I think we've hashed that over 1,000 times. What we have is what we have. I love Ned's idea. I think we really need to get this committee together.
Working committee, yeah.
And maybe even include somebody from the county on that committee to have a back and forth as to why it's the way it is, and maybe they can help with how to fix it.
Sure.
But I love his idea of having experts, having the heads of each different sport involved, and just move forward. And, you know,
Yeah.
we don't need to know why anymore at this point, because it was a while ago, with so many people involved. Let's just get forward.
I think that idea is good. Chris's idea is good. Bring the county up and have the engineers. Lloyd? How you doing?
Good.
Good.
Lloyd Sims, 291 Mendham Road. I just have a question about the county, if they're still holding the performance bond on it. Because this was brought up back in
Ralph,
May,
Jack.
and I don't know if there was an answer to it yet.
I don't know if they still are.
Yeah, but that was in fact designed by the county engineer.
Yeah, but there should be a holdback on a performance bond, correct? Until the construction is complete.
Yeah, but that would just be the contractor. And we can't not return the performance bond to the contractor if he's built the field in accordance with the specs.
I just wonder if anybody checked that.
We can. I get an answer for you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lloyd. Yes, Jen? How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Jen Walsh, 56 Crestview Drive. I just want to say, like, because there was a point made that there was this, like, a big investment into the field.
Yes.
But that's like saying you gave someone a Rolex watch that doesn't work. Because at this point, we don't have, there's only one sport that's can play right now, is lacrosse. And there's even some improvements there, but right now, football cannot play. The high school football team cannot play there. Usually freshmen and JV games are played there. They're being canceled, the games are canceled, or they all have to be away. Soccer can't play there. So it, like, the working group is awesome because there's something has to happen to
Sure.
make it a workable field, because the investment was a complete waste if it's not usable. And going back to the county, like, I know that they're pushing back, but that's probably because they do have some liability here, like, and that's what I was trying to say, like, whatever it was, like a year ago in June. That might have been an engineer, but like, there's lawyers and there's like engineers that specialize in certain things, just like lawyers do. Like, I can't practice trust and estates law, but maybe an engineer should have been like a sports engineer, whatever they do, sports field engineer versus like a county engineer. Because clearly there were some things that were very visible to the human eye. Like, I've never seen a fence at a goalpost, and we were trying to point those things out. But like, any mom looking at it was like, how, like, that's dangerous. So that was very visible. The county engineer designed it like that, which is kind of strange. I think if a sports engineer designed the plan, it wouldn't have looked like that. And then finally, with regard to expenses, I was just like an idea throwing out there. There used to be a lot of money put into the growing of the grass and feeding it and all that money. So that money is gone. Like, that could be a source of, if you put that money aside, that was spent every year, and I think it was a sizable amount.
Now it goes to maintaining the turf itself.
Is that much just to
It's
maintain
more.
the turf?
The turf's
It's more.
Yeah.
More? Okay, that was just an idea.
Yeah.
Just for clarification, though, when we were talking about the fees and what the county had already invested, it was not based on the safety of the field or the usability of the field. What I was talking to was the concern that there was a usage fee of $55 an hour for the field, which was established by ordinance earlier this year, and whether or not that burden was acceptable, or whether it could be modified, or whether we could find a joint way forward that would, you know, address those concerns from a financial perspective. And all I was saying was it's legitimate to have that discussion, but in the context of how much we have invested, so that everybody's on the same page. The people who are debating the right way forward recognize not only the need to have a sustainable program over time, but also recognize that there has been an investment on behalf of these teams already, and that there'll be a
It's really for the
continuing
community
cost
as a whole,
of.
though. It's an investment in the community.
Yes,
It really
that's
is.
correct, and there's.
It's really more, I'm just saying, it's
But
an
as we're
investment
having
in
the
community.
discussion about what the appropriate way forward is, it's important to have all the facts on the table and consider all the information, and then consider, we have these needs for a turf field, we have other needs for paving the train station, we have other needs for maintenance of other open spaces that we have in town. So all of these things need to be considered so that we can put together a comprehensive plan for the entire community on all of the community's needs, including these needs for the turf field.
I'm just curious, what are the expenses for maintaining the turf? I really don't know, I'm just curious, like, because I know like the high school turf.
If you're asking us numbers off the top.
I'm just saying, because I know the high
head,
school turf, like, it's not a ton of money, it's like once every other year that they have to do like some certain, like, I don't know, they reseed the thing, and it's not a very expensive process, it's just.
Yeah, you have to brush it.
Yeah.
John McDowell's not here tonight, but he had, it's way more than once every 2 years. There's a raking to bring the pile of it up with a special machine, and then these little pellets that get put down between
Maybe
it.
talk to the high school, because I don't think they're
Yeah.
spending nearly
It
that much
also
money.
has to be sanitized. So
Yeah,
they have the floor, so let Ms.
But I'm just saying, I don't know, like,
Walsh
maybe,
speak
like,
out of
I'm
the
just, maybe that's a little bit, because I just don't reflect for the high school, I don't think, they don't spend that kind of money on their turf field, maybe they should, I don't know. But whatever, but I just, maybe there's a little gap there, but if you view the turf field as an investment in the community, it really is, and that just, for example, when I had 3 kids in the program, I was $220, what was it, $275 a kid? That's close to $1,000. I don't think people can tap out higher than that for a kid to play football for 2.5 months, but no. That's it.
Thank you. Well, Ned, I think you really put everything in a nutshell here to the working committee. I think it's the key to everything here and the important.
Yeah, I just want people to understand that it's not just about, the aspirational, functionality and beauty of the campus, it's the financial burden.
Sure.
Right, and so that's one of the main, those are, if I were to create a mission statement, right now, those are the 2 things, right? It is not only how to make it, again, viable for everyone aspirationally and functional, but affordable. And that's what the ultimate goal I would hope from the town would be, is to make that commitment that until we figure out a sustainable way for particularly the football program to be able to use this field without becoming insolvent, that these fees are going to be, let's just call it an annual, I don't want to call it vote, but essentially an annual topic to consider if it's possible to use, to implement. So that's one of the things that I most want out of this, is to understand that we give you the numbers and it says, look, 2020, we don't operate anymore, that there's a commitment from the town that says, we want a youth football program, and we're going to do whatever it takes to work with you to make sure it's sustained.
And I think what's key here is we'll make our best attempts to get county engineering here to answer a lot of the questions, have engineering questions.
I think that's the only way to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
we're asking,
Yeah, we're asking
being asked a
everybody
lot
to
of
speak
questions that
once,
we can't
but
speak to.
quickly, if you want to say something again, Mr. Wood.
I just wanted to make a quick comment that based upon where our fees are already, there are already kids that either can't or won't participate in lacrosse because of the cost.
Okay.
So I just want everyone to understand that.
Quick, sir. Thank you.
Sorry, having the county come in and talk to us, I think it's a great idea, but could we have our town engineer review the plan as well and have them look at what a typical field, like, Ned, for the back of the field where the curb is, where the turf ties in, I don't know how close that is to the back of the end zone, it seems very close, so the field seems short, so.
And again, we'll get our engineering to look at that. I don't want to get an engineering specs here because our engineer is not
Maybe
here.
have him here with the county engineer.
Yes.
Because if the county's just here by himself, it's like.
No,
fine.
of course. Thank you.
All right, let's move on.
Lloyd, yeah, we're going to try to let everybody speak once, but go ahead.
Has our attorney looked at what we paid for? Did we get what we were supposed to?
I'll let our attorney answer that.
The borough agreed to the plans, so yes.
Yeah.
So we got exactly what we wanted.
I don't know what we want, but
We got what we paid for. What the specs were, and what the specs were presented with the quotes and everything, yes, what the specs were
Because otherwise it's a
presented.
legal issue.
No, what the specs were presented by the county, yes. Anyone else who hasn't spoken yet? All right, seeing none, we'll move forward. And
And so you'll put together a group,
We'll look
one or
at-
among of you, and we'll sort of like let us know what you're doing. So it really should be a bottom up. You push, we'll follow.
Well, and what you do is submit everything to our clerk's office, so the whole council is informed. And then, we'll include members in the group of the council, and the council will move forward, if they, that'll be a vote of the council then. But I thank everyone, everybody had good comments, and I thank everyone for coming out tonight. All right. 6E, request for Bernard High School student parking decals at library lot.
What about it?
It's in our package, they're asking for
They want
five
15
more.
instead of 10.
Is this
Yeah.
a new thing, or has this been done before?
This has been done before, but they keep going up every year, they ask for a few more every year.
Does the library board sort of opine on it, or?
Well, basically, it's our property, it's pretty full a lot now during the day. I know.
Yeah, that's why I just
Yeah,
the library, but
Hampshire has some spots, Wavelength, because they're.
I say no.
Management.
I actually didn't realize that we had discretion on this, because the way I read the item, and maybe I'm wrong,
No, we voted on it.
was that
Yeah.
it was 15, but they had only requested 10 this year. And then they went back and said, we want the full amount that's already in the resolution or whatever it was.
That's not how I remember the
Is that
original.
what the-
That's not how I remember the original. Jeff, do you remember that, when we had the discussion? Was it 15 that they were asking for originally?
Yes, I think so.
Was it? Okay, I don't remember it that way.
Yeah, I think it was 15, and they backed
When
up
I
to
read this
10.
item on the
I think it
agenda,
was 15, yeah.
Yeah.
can you tell me, Anthony, if it says 15 or 10 in the
Kev, you remember, I
previously
thought it was
approved
15 and went to
resolution, or
10.
was it a resolution or
It was
ordinance?
an ordinance that moved it from 5 to 15. Last year, I believe that they got, actually, I don't know how much they got last year, but they asked for 10 originally this year, and then before the council meeting today, they upped that to 15 between their request and the council meeting.
And we were in a process at the time when we went through discussion of moving our construction and zoning offices over to the library, and it's shifting some parking spaces, and Doug did a survey. Now Doug does have some specs on that, which he presented to us last year or the year before. So I know he does have some specs. Remember, we were putting a generator in too that also took up some parking spaces for construction. So I think we could table this until the next meeting, and Doug could have something prepared for us.
Mayor, can I just?
Yes, Kev.
say something? I was
Chief, I'm sorry.
present last year when we talked about this. We don't have 15 spaces to go. That lot is full every day. And when I learned that this request was coming forward, I've been purposely monitoring the condition of the lot, especially in the midday, closer to the library, and it's pretty well full. Maybe 2 spaces, maybe 3 spaces are empty. There's a lot of turnover in that lot. There's a lot of spillover that goes into the private parking across the street. They have a problem with vehicles parking in their private lot when the borough library lot's full. The only spaces that are underutilized are the spaces that are all the way over by the bank in the far end of the lot as you exit onto Kirk Street. And I counted them the other day, and I counted 10 spaces available to the borough. The other spaces that are there are all allocated to private businesses. They're dedicated spaces for some of the tenants in some of the buildings in the area due to the allocation that Doug has previously laid out to you. So there's 10 spaces there. They were empty every day.
Yeah.
Those 10 spaces were empty. We used to require the library employees to park there. They felt that they were parking too far away. They didn't want to walk all the way over there. They didn't feel safe walking over there at night. So then they allowed them to move back closer to the library. Then we moved our offices in downstairs, and we took X number of spaces for borough vehicles away from the parking that was available in the library. The Summit Medical Group took over the physician's office that was downstairs in the library. There's an increase in parking, and that office is a lot busier than the previous office that was there. My point is that parking lot is really crowded, and if you give them 15 spaces, that's 5 less spaces that are going to be available to the other competing interests for that.
But why wouldn't they want to park, excuse me for interrupting, close to Church Street? It's closer to the school.
That's fine, that's 10 spaces.
What I'm saying is why
That's
wouldn't you?
10 spaces, not 15, and I think that was part of the reason that they received 10 spaces last year, right? So I think they're not asking for, I don't think, particular spaces. I think they're just asking for the number.
Okay, because those are the 10 I remember from when we did this a year or so ago.
So
Behind, where all the wavelength guys park, immediately opposite that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
So then what's there to talk about?
So, well, they're going to 15 now.
Well, no, they're not. They're asking for it.
They're asking for 15.
Yeah.
That's my point. They're asking
Yeah.
for 15. So
Right.
I don't have a problem with, personally, you do whatever the council wants to do.
Yeah.
But there's 10 spaces that are available there every day. But to go to 15, there's 4-hour parking over in the library parking lot. Those spaces, those 10 are not restricted by time. So they can park there all day. They're empty until about spring break.
Okay.
And then Olcott Avenue explodes, all the side streets, the parking explodes as juniors and seniors start to get their licenses. And we have a lot of 17-year-olds and the 18-year-olds from the previous year driving. There's not enough parking up there, so they're looking for a place in the spring. Right now, there's not a problem. I drove all through the streets the last couple of weeks, a couple of times during the school days. There's plenty of parking on the street, on Olcott Avenue and in the area of the high school right now. But the problem comes later in the year.
So what are we looking for, a vote on this? That's what they want to expand, is that what it is?
Yes, basically a yes or no.
I'm a no.
No?
That'd be a no also.
No? Tom?
I'm confused why we passed an ordinance that allowed 15 spaces if we had no intention of giving them 15 spaces.
It was based on availability, and based on,
They
at
asked
that
for
time,
15.
we didn't, they always ask for more. We didn't have the upstairs of this building over there like we do now, and it has grown. It was only if available. There was a maximum to grow to, but it had to be voted on, so I'm a no.
I have a hard time understanding why the borough is providing parking for high school students.
Out of courtesy.
Yeah.
They pay.
They pay?
Yeah.
Oh,
There's
we
a fee
charge
attached
for
to
that?
it. Yeah.
They pay $100 per decal.
Oh.
But it doesn't, as long as the library patrons aren't put out, because I know it's our lot, but
Yes.
to me, that they should be first.
That's why we have them all the way
They
down.
pay,
again.
but we still don't have to offer. That's why I say courtesy. We're doing it. Are we getting money for it? Yeah, but we still don't have to give them any more than we need to. Or that we have room for.
We also have an obligation to the tenants in the lower level.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, I want our businesses to be successful at the same time as well, So I don't know if, it sounds to me like there isn't the demand right now, but eventually in the springtime there would maybe demand, and then you might be displacing.
Yeah, which is why I don't want to go above the 10.
Yeah.
I'm not really in favor of
So
expanding.
John's a no?
Yeah.
Tom, you're a no?
I don't think,
Same.
unless there's some other compelling reason, I don't know.
Chris? No, I know
No.
your answer. Jeff?
10's fine.
10's fine.
Yeah,
Okay,
Chief
Michael?
says 10.
Christine, okay? That's it, Anthony, let them know.
So I'll tell them 10.
Yep. That's it, the existing 10. Yeah.
Yeah, not an additional 10.
Yeah.
The same, yeah, the same 10 they've always had, yes. There we go.
That
Okay.
15, that's 20.
Good. Yes.
They'll send you a check immediately. Okay, seeing, no correspondence, I'll entertain a motion to move into, closed session. And in closed session,
Second.
we're gonna have some personnel matters, property acquisition, and attorney-client.
Are we coming out with anything, Jack?
Who moved that?
Not on mine.
No, okay.
Who moved it?
I did. Oh, no, he did move that
I
second.
moved, he
Moved
said.
by Mr. O'Day, second by Mr. Schmidt. There we go.